purpose of this space is to create a very safe environment for people to share a moment of their lives. All of the stories presented by the speakers are personal in nature, and some of them can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may be triggered by this. And if you are triggered by it, there's a beautiful lounge in the back. You can go there, give yourself a timeout, ground yourself, and then when you're ready, you can come back and join us.
Centrally located in the Richmond Auto Mall since 1984, Richmond Honda features a large selection of Honda-certified pre-owned vehicles. Inside the showroom, Honda's newest models are displayed for viewing, and the dealership is staffed 7 days a week for financial consultation. Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods, from imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond. Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building. Open 7 days a week, Kingsgate Mall features shops for both men's and women's clothing, women's fashions and accessories, and footwear for everyone, prescription glasses and contact lenses, as well as shopping for his and her jewelry. Kingsgate Mall on East Broadway at Kingsway.
Matatagpuan sa 104 and 138 na may higit sa 300 sasakyan, brand new and pre-owned, ay pwede niyong pagpipilian. Bago ka pa sa bansa, wala ka bang credit score? Walang problema. Marami kaming selection from all makes and models, and all trade-ins are welcome. Higit pang impormasyon sa sirmitsubishi.com.
Welcome to the show, and I'm going to open it by sharing with you an answer that I gave to people that found out about the show and then applied to speak. A lot of them say, what do you want us to talk about? And I tell them, well, I want to know the why behind your why. And they go, what does that mean? So like, well, most people say, you're doing something and this is why, this is why you do it. Well, I want to know what caused that why to happen. And then I was finally asked, after saying that for hundreds of times, then what's your why behind your why? And then they caught me off guard because I never really thought of it. So I actually I pondered this, sat in front of this person for 10 minutes in silence, trying to think about this. And then I gave them the answer. And then a couple of days later, I met up with another gentleman, and he asked me exactly the same question, and then I refined it a little bit. And when someone else asked me, I'm going, this is a test from someone up top that I really gotta get this answer down. And it goes something like this. A few years ago, more than a few is what, 3? Okay, many years ago, I was in a pretty dark space in the sense that I was going to work for the sake of working, for chasing after the almighty dollar. And then on weekends, just numbing myself with alcohol and substance abuse to survive all the pressure that I put upon myself. And it was a really dark space, and I didn't know how to get out, because why would I want to get out? So all I did was just aim down. I went further and further down the rabbit hole. Then about 5 years ago, in the world that I was in, to give you a better frame, it was like the nightlife and entertainment industry. So you're just going out and you're partying, and people are putting on these beautiful masks to hide all of the pain that they're behind, and we're numbing ourselves just to survive. Now, if you can call that an existence, when I told the story the first time, I said I was existing. When I told the story the second time, I realized what I was doing was escaping. I didn't want to deal with anything. I was just sitting there numbing myself and then going further and further down the rabbit hole because I truly believed no one would understand, no one cared, and I just got used to it. At the beginning, there was a lot of pain, and then as time went on, I just got used to it. Then about 5 years ago, a friend of mine posted up on Facebook, and I looked at her and I go, wow, you look really happy. And asked her what happened, and she got out. She got out of hell. And I was very curious, and I go, well, can you tell me what you did? And she gave me her story. And at that very moment, I realized if she could get out, I might be able to get out too. And then I asked her, so what did you do? And then we really had this heart-to-heart. And it was heart-wrenching hearing what she had to go through. But she wanted out. And at that point in time, I decided I wanted out too. So she gave me, in the dark hell that I was in, that I created in my own mind, a brief glimpse of light, and I held on to it. I reached out, held on to it, closed my eyes, and told myself, just believe, start your walk, and you will get out. You gotta believe, and you gotta get out. That's taken 5 years. Now, by telling you this story, I'm not telling you my story is right or wrong. I'm not telling you that your story is wrong, my story is right. I'm not telling you that I'm better than you. I'm not. What I am saying, though, is if you're in this space, if you think that you're just stuck, you don't know the way out, that you feel that you're all alone, and you don't know where to go, my role here is to try and give you that glimmer of light, give you that little bit of courage to say, you can get out. And it's up to you to make that choice. And then I realize as I tell the story to you now, I can metaphorically say that this space here that I'm creating is like a lighthouse, it's like a beacon, because only people that resonate with my story will say, hey, I can get out too. But by putting 5 or 6 different people with all different stories, that's 5 or 6 different glimmers of light, 5 or 6 different examples of courage that can hit different people throughout this entire year. And that's why I do what I do. And that's the why behind my why. So, with that, now that I've taken some time, I'm going to put on the host hat and we'll get the show started. As I've mentioned, I've been on this rapid fire journey since June 17th of this year when someone unwoke my soul. But I had this blind spot, and I've had this blind spot for 3-4 years now, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. And then late last year, I had the privilege of sitting down with Shanann and just chatting over a coffee. I don't remember any of the conversation, but I do remember him saying something, and I'm staring off into space, and 1,000 dots connected in an instant. And he looked at me, smiled, and he said, that's the look of realization right there. And it was the most amazing moment. Like my entire life collapsed into a fraction of a second, and it all made sense. I had my moment. I thought I had moments before. This one was ridiculous. And then from that moment, as I moved forward, I would literally bump into people, and then more dots would connect, and more dots would connect. And then I told this story to a friend of mine, and she said, Winston, in your journey so far, you've collected so many dots from doing so many things with so many people. that all you have to do is bump one dot and you're going to get a chain reaction. You can't stop it. It's already started. And I'm like, okay, this is really crazy. And I go, how many moments how many of these types of moments are going to happen? That one massive one, where literally 1,000 more dots connected, was intense. But I'm glad that it happened. And it finally happened really late in life, but I'm glad that it happened because I am who I am today. And I invite Bob Mueller up because he had his moment late in life as well. And I asked him to share. But before he comes on stage, I'm going to go behind the curtain and not pull out the Wizard of Oz.
My name is Jeevan Bath. Suki Bath has been selling quality pre-owned vehicles for 37 years. All of our vehicles come with a certified inspection report, and history reports are available for all vehicles. All of our sales staff is fully licensed. Visit sukibathmotors.com today.
Foodie World has 75,000 square feet of imported and domestic products, with a large selection dedicated to our Filipino kababayans, with an in-house butcher, variety of seafood, and produce from around the globe. Open every day until midnight. Foodie World, 1 block east of No. 3 Road off Sea Island Way in Richmond. Open 7 days a week, Richmond Honda showcases a variety of certified previously owned vehicles. Inside are the newest Honda trucks, sedans, SUVs, and crossovers. The parts and service department features a drive-up, drop-off along the side of the building at Richmond Honda, celebrating 33 years inside the Richmond Auto Mall.
So now that you've got to experience this space that I'm creating, and if you got a glimmer of light or a bit of courage that you yourself would like to take this stage, you can apply to speak at www.mystorymondays.com, and there's a little link that says apply to speak. Send it in and we'll get you on stage.
Go.
No, you're not.
Put that in there, would you? Put that on the.
Is that there?
Thanks.
I don't think you're going to have a problem speaking into the mic.
We won't have any problem. All right, thank you, Winston. And wow, these guys, these stories, incredible. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be able to close the show. And I'd like to start with what a mentor of mine, Steve Sable, the president of NFL Films, once said, is that if you tell me a fact, I'll learn. If you tell me a truth, I'll believe. But if you tell me a story, it'll live in my heart forever. The story is the most important fabric that every company, every advertiser, every person in the world is fascinated by a story. But few of us look within to find our own story. And I say that happens in a moment, in an instant. So I have a question for you. Has anyone ever had a perfect moment? I mean a moment where you vibrated, you were part of the gods, and you knew in that moment it was perfect. You see, a moment is like this. That's perfection. That is a vibration. Everything in the planet, everything in life, everything everywhere vibrates at different speeds. I believe that each one of us has a perfect vibration. The trouble is, we only have one. And we have to find that vibration that we're in tune with. You see, like attracts like. What you want wants you, and I can prove it. My story is called Finding Your Butkus. Now let me explain that. You might have noticed that I have a costume on. This is the costume of Dick Butkus, the meanest, nastiest man to ever play NFL football. And at 13 years old, he was my hero in 1969. My testosterone-soaked brain was infatuated with Dick Butkus when I saw a film called The Most Feared Man in Football. And I became so fascinated that I wanted to play football. And I loved football, everything about football, and it drove me to become an artist. I wound up being the top artist in my high school, and everything was about drawing, playing, being football. Now, around that same time, because I'm the type of person, I don't know about you, but I love heroes. I love the heroic journey. Everything that there is about a hero or a costume, superheroes were for me. Now, when I do something, I go all in. It's big or go home. Now, when I'm doing it, so I was into superheroes around the same time. Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, all these guys, and every week I took my allowance. I get 12 cents, and I could go buy a brand new comic book. And I treasured those comic books. And I loved them so much. Now, I had a military father who liked things in straight lines, corners. This was up, this was down. I was collecting the comic books, playing football, drawing football players, drawing superheroes. One day I came home with a new comic book. I went into my room and I noticed that there was a drawer ajar. And I went there and I noticed that drawer was empty. My treasures, my comic books, my art had been thrown away. Now, my father, the military man, didn't like dreamers. And he said that artists were typically failures in life. And if you wanted to be a loser, you just keep on doing what you're doing. So I'm going to save you from you. And I've thrown your junk away. Now, that isn't being crushed by wood or problems like some of these wonderful people have shared, but there was something about that stole my heart. By the age of 16, I quit art, I quit football, I quit school, and I went out and got a job. I was following what my father had told me to do. For the next 35 years, I didn't just get a job, I worked like crazy. I had 2 dual careers as a builder, a carpenter. I was a martial arts teacher. I did everything, opening up businesses, and worked. And that was my passion. I didn't think about Dick Butkus or art for 35 years. 47 years old. I'd had a change of was it a change of wife or a change of life? I forget. It was one of those things, and it was rather traumatic. I suffered through a divorce. In fact, I did it so much that I've done it a number of times. But at that particular time, 47 years old, had this change, and I had an odd experience. I did yoga. I didn't just do yoga like everything else I do. I was all in. I did Bikram, hot yoga. Has anybody ever done this? Now let me tell you. Let me ask you a skill testing question. Does this body look like it was meant for yoga? I was a football player, a boxer, a martial arts expert. I was a samurai sword. This shit don't bend. Even in a hot room. Oh my God. Well, anyways, I didn't just start doing yoga. I decided I'd be a yoga teacher. So I went to Los Angeles to go to yoga teacher training. 700 hours in a room, 120 degrees with 300 other suffering people. Now I tell you, I was pretty good at everything else I'd ever done in my life. I was bad at yoga. Real bad. In fact, there was 300 people in that room suffering. I was the worst. I was on the dean's list for being the absolute worst yogi ever. And it was hard on me. It was unbelievably hard. Anyways, I suffered through this. I got a probational pass. I wound up back home in Victoria. Now, you know, the yoga thing, as much as I hated every moment of it, it had done something to me. It had emptied something. It had purged something that perhaps I'd been carrying around for 35 years and ignoring. I found myself alone one weekend. My girlfriend had left me the weekend and she'd gone away to visit her daughter. And I found myself alone. I had eaten all the Chinese food, watched all the TV, had ordered as many pizzas as you possibly could, and I was bored. I had nothing left to do. So I got on the computers, 2002, and I knew that there was this thing called surfing. Now, I hadn't surfed anything before, but apparently you could surf a computer. So I got on there and I thought, well, what should I look for? And there was a screen there, and I thought, I've heard of this thing called eBay. You know what eBay is? Well, you type in eBay, and up comes this screen, and on the screen there's a little box in there, and I looked at it, and it had some words there. I took them to say, what do you want? Ooh, what are you interested in? I mean, what do I want? What am I interested in? And I looked up and I immediately thought, I'm interested in Dick Butkus. And I typed in Dick Butkus and 800 things came up. Things that I'd had as a child that I'd bought. Footballs and magazines and Sports Illustrated. And I was like, wow. For the second time in my life, I was inspired by Dick Butkus. Oh, I can't tell you. It was like I was 13 years old again, playing on that grass field and loving every moment of it. And one day a magazine showed up, and in the centerfold there was a picture of Butkus rushing the quarterback, about to tear his head off. And I went, oh my God, my heart. And I went, I want to draw that. So I went down to the art store. I bought $600 worth of stuff and said I'd like to paint. I used to be an artist when I was in high school. I've never painted. What do I need? $600 later and a book of how to paint. Great. I go home. I looked at the book, went, well, I wasn't very good at school anyway, so I threw that away and I started painting. 18 months later, I had painted 25 portraits of Dick Butkus over and over and over and over, and I was good at it. And I knew I was good at it. And I went on a quest to find my Butkus, which meant I chased Dick Butkus all over North America till I finally met him, painting my paintings and doing this and trying to create businesses. I tried to do a card show with Hallmark. I wanted to create a card called Tough Guy Cards. Thought it was going to make $1 billion. I met Butkus. Have you ever met your hero? Don't do it. It's hard on them. Worst 30 minutes of my life. I was there, that 13-year-old child of his father telling him, artists don't make it in life. Here I was in front of my idol, and it just went south. I was crushed. That big 12 by 12 cant log fell on my head, and I thought, my God, my whole goddamn life is a lie. 47 years old. I didn't know quite what to do with that, so I went home and contemplated again. And I got in front of that damn computer. I got another idea. I'm going to write Steve Sable, the president of NFL Films, the largest filmmaker in the world. And I'm going to tell him about how much I love Dick Butkus, because I decided I was going to keep that legend in my mind. And so I did. I wrote him a letter, I gave it a kiss, and I sent it off to NFL Films. 11 months later, almost to the day, I found myself in New York City, in the Lincoln Center, hearing my name and my story called Finding Your Butkus win the 2008 Emmy Award for Outstanding Feature. Tell me a fact and I'll learn. Tell me a truth and I'll believe. But when I told Steve Sable a story, we made it live in football lore forever. You see, we all have moments, we all have opportunities in life. And knowing is remembering. And I challenge you to think about the perfect moments that you've had and go out and find them. They will come from the pain and the suffering that you may have had from some of the events in your life. We all have them. But those tools were put in the way for you to discover who you can be. And that comes in from the perfection of the moment of what you will be. Thank you.
Bob Mueller. So now that you've got to experience this space that I'm creating, and if you got a glimmer of light or a bit of courage that you yourself would like to take this stage, you can apply to speak at www.mystorymondays.com, and there's a little link that says apply to speak. Send it in and we'll get you on stage.
Models are on display at Freeway Mazda. New Mazda sedans, crossovers, and SUVs surround the facility, and fully loaded versions occupy the floor of the showroom. At Freeway Mazda, 154th Street and 104 Avenue in Surrey.
Kingsway Sushi is an all-you-can-eat restaurant with a large selection of Japanese and other Asian cuisine. The restaurant is located 5 minutes from Metrotown Center on the Vancouver side of Boundary and Kingsway.